doesn't these days want to get out and get down? Clare Dunn, 104.5 WFMB. She took a selfie. Was I looking?
Yes.
Did you catch me? All right.
It was your good side. It was the only, it was the good one.
Clare Dunn here in the studio, 104.5 WFMB, just rolled in your big pickup truck.
Hello, yes.
So I got it. For those of you who don't know, I know you've played a couple of times at Boondocks, and for folks who have seen you, they're kind of familiar with you. But for everyone else, growing up, where in Southeast Colorado are you from? What's the little burg?
The town where we get our mail. We don't live in the town. We live on a farm outside of it. But the town is called Two Buttes.
Two Buttes.
And there's about 30 people there.
Is that anywhere near Mineral Wells?
No, I'm not sure where that is. The biggest town near us is another town called Lamar, Colorado.
Lamar,
it's 50 miles north of us.
Okay.
And then we're we're closer to we're 30 miles north of Oklahoma. And growing up, my family, we farm back and forth across, the border there. And my mom is from a town called Keys, Oklahoma, which is 50 miles south of my house. So, middle of nowhere.
I grew up I didn't grow up, but I spent a number of years in Colorado Springs. I'm familiar with some of those areas down that way.
Yeah, if you just go about 3.5 hours southeast of Colorado Springs, you'll be in my neighborhood. Yeah. So
you kind of snake your way through there if you're on your way to Kansas City.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Flatland.
Very flat, no trees,
So I found it interesting when the bio that you actually post on your website is interesting because a lot of people like to talk about the odd jobs they did before they made it in the music business. And watering cattle, hauling water, driving tractor, and you paid your way through college by hauling silage.
Yes, all true.
Silage trucks.
Unfortunately, you couldn't make it up. I drove. I went to college in Nashville at a place called Belmont University.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, my family were farmers for generations, and that was something that we never would have thought would be possible. It just never entered our realm of thinking as far as college was concerned. But I was lucky that my parents were very supportive of, my dream and to pay for school, on top of loans and every scholarship I could get or grant or whatever, I would go home. And I would drive an 18-wheeler and for silage harvest on spring break, summer break, winter break, or fall break. If you could grow silage and haul it in winter, I would have done that too.
Well, I know there's probably a lot of guys around here who can identify with that.
Yes, you bet. Farm country. I was just on the way in. I was just noticing, the beautiful farm country. It's beautiful countryside, and it's just so green and lush. Where I'm from, it's like dust brown right now. We're in a bad drought. So you bet. I loved it. It made me feel like home.
Awesome. Yeah. So you've got this single out, which sounds awesome. So what is what are musical influences? I hear a little Sheryl Crow, a little Bonnie Raitt and what you do.
Thank you. Yeah. Keith Urban is a huge influence for me. Just as a guitar player, I've been playing for about 6 years, and I played all the guitars on Get Out. And so for me, just as a lead player, Keith was a huge influence for me because he kind of seems to approach guitar. I mean, I don't know him. I don't know the guy. I never met him. But he seems to approach it in a way that made sense to me and very melodic and kind of sings on a guitar, if you will, which for me as a singer was very much identifiable. So he was a huge one. I love Eric Clapton. He's another guitar player, hero of mine. But I also grew up listening to, Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey and George Strait and Bob Seger. My dad is a farmer country guy, and he grew up loving like 50s and 60s R&B and soul. Yeah. So he told me about Ray Charles and Fats Domino, and then my mom told me about Waylon. And so I just, it's crazy. It's all over the place. And I just, I figure if it's good, I like it.
I find it interesting watching you play, especially on the video and other things I've seen. You've only been playing for 6 years.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're very good.
Oh, thank you so much. It's, my college experience was not probably typical in that it was a lot of time spent in my bedroom listening to records and learning how to play, and was born out of this desire to be able, I hear things a certain way, and I hear sounds, and You know, I would always try to describe guitar parts to other guitar players, and I was horrible at it. I just couldn't express it. And so that was part of the, you know, the passion for me in learning how to play. And it's just, you know, if you've got a couple years to sit in your bedroom and, you know, you can do it. Because if I can do it, anybody can do it for sure.
It's 3:38. Clare Dunn in the studio. Claire's actually not playing anywhere right now in the area, but she's on her way through and just kind of stopped by our radio stations, which is the way they used to do it in the old days, which is really cool.
We're taking it back.
All right. So I'm going to have you play a song. How's that?
That's great.
Clare Dunn on 104.5 WFMB. So I'm going to give it to you.
You bet. Well, first of all, thank you so much again for having me. And this is a song I wrote with a friend of mine, Bryce Long, and he's got a new one out with Randy Houser right now. And so I was lucky to write this with him, and this is called You're Gonna Love Somebody. Long goodbyes have never been my style, so I'll keep it short and sweet. I know you're not in love with me, but you're gonna love somebody. Walk away, I'll just walk away. You don't wanna break my heart or watch me fall apart, but you're gonna love somebody. You're gonna give somebody everything you got, and somebody's gonna get everything. I'm not all of your heart, oh, every part. There's gonna be somebody you can't live without, and you'll see just what I'm talking about. Someday, baby, you're gonna love somebody. With just one touch, you'll open up. There'll be no way to say no, 'cause you won't be in control. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Gonna love somebody. You're gonna give somebody everything you got, and somebody's gonna get everything. I'm not all of your heart, oh, every part. There's gonna be somebody you can't live without, and you'll see just what I'm talking about. Someday, baby, you're gonna love somebody. Yeah. Oh, no. You're gonna give somebody everything you got, and somebody's gonna get everything. I'm not all of your heart, oh, every part. And there's gonna be somebody you can't live without, and you'll see just what I'm talking about. Someday, baby, you're gonna love somebody.
Clare Dunn. Wow, nice song.
Thank
Very
you.
good. I love watching somebody who knows how to get around a guitar.
Oh, thank you so much.
So
I
cool.
appreciate that. Thank
All
you.
right. So, you've been writing for how long?
Seriously.
Not everybody starts off writing.
Yeah. No, for me growing up, I grew up singing, you know, first, and that was I've been doing that since I could talk, much to my family's chagrin and annoyance probably sometimes in the car and everywhere. But writing for me came with college, seriously. And because I just kind of grew up with this thought, and I don't know why. It was my own thought, and it was silly, but I just kind of thought if you weren't Chris Christopherson or you didn't come out of the womb writing songs, then you had no business, So, and, nobody planted that in my head. That was just my own silly thought. And so when I went off to college, though, that was really my shot to, number one, pursue music, and then, that's when the writing really came into full force. And, going to Nashville was the game changer for me. And I got to be mentored by a guy named Tom Schuyler, and he's a phenomenal.
Hello.
Yeah,
I know who he is. Yeah, he's a great songwriter.
Yeah, so he took me under his wing and was my mentor, and just taught me the craft, or at least showed me as much as he could in the 3 years, that I got to just talk songs with him every day.
And he was an artist for a period of time as well.
Artist, songwriter, ran a record label. Mm-hmm. Just one of those Renaissance men that can do it all.
Those are good connections to make. And going to school at Belmont, these kind of people are all over the place.
Yes.
I mean, Brad Paisley went there.
You bet. It was a huge opportunity for me because, I didn't know a soul when I went to Nashville. And my family, we're farmers pretty much since we've come to this country, for generations. And so nobody has gotten the chance to pursue music.
Right.
And, I was lucky enough that my parents were just like, if that's what your dream is, then gung-ho, get after it. And so Belmont was my foot in the door. And had it not been for that silage truck paying for school, I would have been up a creek. But
so who was the vendor? Who were you working for?
On silage?
Yeah.
Well, just different farmers in the
you were an
area.
Independent contractor.
Well, I guess you could say so. I didn't even think about it like that. All I knew is there was a crew in southeast Kansas, and a lot. If you're familiar with it, we cut a lot of silage around a town called Ulysses, and actually the cutter that I worked for, give a little shout out. His name was Eric Kramer. So if he's by chance out there listening, but he was who we would go cut for. And, Ulysses, and then some in Texas, and just, all over the place.
Cool.
So, yep.
Very neat.
It was great, and I'm glad it's over as well. Yeah. I'm glad Belmont's in the past now.
But if worse came to worse,
yep,
you could drive the bus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you bet. I could be a relief driver. And it comes in really handy, just being out on the road right now. With my band, we're playing with Florida Georgia Line and Parmalee quite a bit, but I still am in I have me and 3 guys, and I play lead guitar on electric. And so it's me and 3 dudes, and that's it. And I have a pickup, 4-door pickup, F-150 that we drive around in, and we have a trailer. And every now and then we'll pull up to a venue, and they'll be like, "Can you back that trailer up in there?" And I'm like, I bet I maybe could. So it comes in handy. All that truck driving experience.
Absolutely.
I'm thanking the Lord for it every day. I'm like, thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom, for
teaching me. It's nice to be able to back a trailer up.
That's right.
Not everyone can do that. That's right. Clare Dunn, a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for reaching out to us. I'm glad you could stop by.
Man, thank you so much for letting me. I appreciate the opportunity. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Best of luck with the music career in Nashville. And next time you're playing at Boondocks, make sure you stop by again.
I think it's August 9th. So, yep.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.